Hello, I'm Sherry Clergis with At 45, When Life Changes. And I'm so excited that you've joined us today. And I have the most interesting and actually amazing guests today. We're going to have a fun conversation, I can tell, but we're also going to dive deep into how do you get movies made? Because it's something that I have had no idea about, but I've always wanted to be a movie star. So today, I am so excited to have Robyn Rosenkrantz and Michael Glover. In 1990, they quit the LA scene, sold all their possessions except for their guitars, and got a one-way ticket to Europe. And then they had just an amazing journey. And through that time, they've been creating movies. And they just recently launched a new one, 36 Husbands, which I had the opportunity to watch. It's just hilarious. And so welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
I love your backdrop.
Yeah, that's our capitalism going on there. 36 Husbands available on iTunes, Amazon,
it's supposed
Google
to
Play,
hypnotize
Voodoo.
you. Actually, we had a lot of fun designing the poster. We had a great photographer in Los Angeles taking pictures of the actresses that you see behind us. And then we took the design to our distributor in Paris. And they had a designer in the office there.
Well, I made a poster and they said, no, it's terrible. We're going to redo it.
That's right. You did start with something they didn't really like. Michael, it's so great because Michael is really self-taught at everything.
And you can tell when you see what I do.
No, but he really impresses me. He's always learning new skills. So I like his posters, but I do think they improved upon his design idea.
This one's much better. I like it.
And I think this is the best poster of our 7 films. It's the one I'm happiest with, and I think it really describes the movie, and it's just fun. And you want something that will stand out, especially on those little thumbnails that they have on iTunes. So we hope that people will be drawn to it.
Well, I thought after watching the movie, it really suited the movie. It had the same vibe to it for sure.
Are you old enough to remember the Monkees?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because that was a vibe I was trying to go for.
Well, pretty close.
Mrs. Peel, do you know who that is? Mrs. Peel from the 60s Avengers. It was a spy show with a guy named Steed and the first, kick butt woman character on TV called Mrs. Peel. She was Kung Fu. It was English. But that was the mix of those two, kind of Mrs. Peel meets the Monkees. That was kind of the vibe I was trying to go.
Well, I also got the vibe of Get Smart. The Get Smart program in there. Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
So tell us a bit about your personal journey and how you came to produce this movie. And I'm just going to be quiet because there's two of you, so I want you both to be able to talk.
So why are we here? What happened?
Thanks.
How do we get here?
Well, ever since I was a kid, I knew that I wanted to be a musician. That was just something I think I was born with, wanting to sing, wanting to play guitar, wanting to write songs. At one point, I thought I wanted to be the first female astronaut, but that didn't happen. But I never dreamt that I would be producing movies. I've always loved movies. I grew up watching movies and TV, and it's just magical how a movie, takes you on a journey. But movie making really happened organically. And we'll get into that a little bit later.
Organically, you mean like manure? Organic?
No, like organic tofu, honey.
Oh, okay.
But basically, I pretty much got my training in the music world and, writing songs. But I think...
So you produced a video.
Oh, that's
That was
true.
the first thing. She did an anti-drunk driving video in the 80s, wasn't it?
Yeah, you're right.
And that was a big production.
Yeah, a music video against
That's where you learned
drunk
how to
driving.
do it.
You're right. I totally forgot about that. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm your PR guy.
I love you and my husband and my everything and my cook.
And I vacuum.
and he knows how to fix cars.
I think you better keep them.
Yeah, well,
I think so too. 30 years.
So far, so good. 30 years. We're still newlyweds. So.
Right? 30 years this year.
Congratulations.
So continue.
Thank you.
You were
but
you're becoming an astronaut.
Yeah, I'm becoming an astronaut. What I think has been neat about our journey, like Sherry, you were saying, we quit our jobs in LA, sold everything we had, bought one-way tickets to Europe, and we had this dream to travel and play music, but we had no idea what was going to happen.
I have to interject that when you say we sold everything we have, people think, oh, they sold their house and their car. Where they probably raised $150,000. We raised $408. That was how much. Seriously, that's how much we raised at the garage sale to go to Europe with.
Right, but it was enough for 2 one-way tickets exactly.
We were totally crazy,
which was kind of neat. But we knew one guy in Holland, so we landed in Amsterdam. We started there. But the thing is, I think the journey that we took really trained me to become a movie producer, because I had to learn how to do everything by doing. I couldn't take a class on this or read a book on how to book a tour, how to promote a tour, how to find a place to stay, how to promote the shows, where are we gonna sleep the next night? Just like all these things I had to learn along the way. And I kind of learned by putting a detective hat on. It's like,
yeah, I remember you were always with posters. Whenever we were in Holland, and Robyn, we'd be walking down the street. She'd see a poster, a concert. Wait, hold on. She'd look and find who's doing it, where is it, what's the name of the place. She was always, and then she'd go home and try to call them, and it was just like constant research.
Right?
We couldn't walk 20 feet without stopping and taking a note.
You'd be like, are you going to stop again?
Yeah, I remember. But she became a really good booking agent. The first tour she booked in Holland was like 50 shows, 50. And
Michael,
with good venues. And then an agent discovered us because of that. A Dutch agent saw the list on in the music magazine and said, who books you guys? And we said, Robyn does. And he said, not anymore. So he took over. We were with him for like 15 years.
Right. Yeah. But it was like, again, I had to learn by doing out of survival and passion for wanting to live as an artist, because
not die of starvation.
Right.
That's a motivator.
That is a motivator.
Absolutely.
Right. But the thing is, when we were first over there, we just got gigs by walking into a club saying, hey, we're singer-songwriters from Los Angeles. Can we play a show? We met one person. They said, oh, do you need a place to stay? They invite us in. Like, one thing leads to another. But at a certain point, we were kind of about to run out of money. And Michael's like, maybe we should go back to Los Angeles. I'm like, I'm not going home. I came here to have a career, and I love being in Europe.
And I was kind of like, you've lived a sheltered life. You've never been broke before because you live with your parents. I know what it's like to not have money. So I was pretty freaked out.
Right.
But she said, we're not going back. If you want to go back without me, because I'm going to book a tour.
I'm going to book a tour.
Okay. Calm down. I'll learn how to write. So I spent that summer while Robyn was on the phone booking the tours. This is 1990 we're talking about. She was booking the first tour and getting a lot of no's. She was calling 50 places, 60 places to get one gig, but she was like a bulldog. And I was learning how to write in the back I had a little thing called a laptop, which was like the size of a toaster oven, This is 1990, right? So it was this giant laptop, which you could barely pick up. And I was in the backyard writing stories and plays and all kinds of junk.
Yeah, again, self-taught. And then, this is before internet. So I literally...
No, not before. No, it was just not that.
Really?
Yeah,
no.
80s. It was in the 80s. Yeah, but it wasn't popular. It was there since the 80s. Yeah, trust me. I'm older than you. We weren't using it.
But the thing was, so I had this music magazine, and I was looking for venues, and I was making phone calls. Okay, it was before cell phones. And
no, it wasn't before cell phones. We just didn't have one. They were about this big. They were cell phones since the 80s. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly.
It looks like walkie-talkie. If you watch, there's an 80s film with what is it called? The Wall Street. No, it's maybe it's called Wall Street. It's with Michael Douglas.
Oh, right.
He plays, Gordon Gecko. I forget what it's called. I think that's the name. And there's a part where they were showing off the technology, and he picks up this thing that's like a shoebox. He goes, "Hi, Bob. Yeah, I'm calling you on my cell phone." It was at the time it was so cool, but now if you see that movie, it's hilarious.
Right?
Not cool.
We didn't have one of those. But, you know, it was funny because we were living with my friend in Holland, Arletta Albers, a dancer and artist. And so I would call up, and most of the people in Holland, you know, speak English. A few don't. Some of the older people don't. But I would call up and I'd say, you know, "Hello, this is Robyn with Bright Blue Gorilla." I said it really slow, they'd understand. And I knew a little bit of Dutch. I'd say a little bit of Dutch to them. They're like, "I speak English." So I talked to them. But this is before CDs. So I had to send
No, it wasn't. Okay.
Okay. But I had to send out cassette tapes.
Right.
You know, through the post.
Remember those?
Right?
Yeah. I remember cassette tapes.
Wasn't like send a digital link and, you know, find out if we can play. But it was a miracle. I ended up booking 50 shows, as Michael said.
Wasn't it Richard Thompson?
Yeah, and Richard Thompson.
Yeah, we were opening for Richard Thompson. That was the gig that she got. Really cool.
I saw that he was playing all these clubs, so I'm like, I'm going to call and see if we can be his opening act.
Wow.
So we got a bunch of shows with him.
Yeah, so this was all just like do it yourself. And you know, we're living with a friend. We're living with this dancer that we know in a, you know, we had one room in her house, and she's really nice because we're really broke. So it's like we're just staying there and, you know, paying for groceries and stuff. That's pretty much been the story of the whole trip, the whole 30 years. We never quite got into the, hey, we're rolling in the dough. You know, we still always stay with people. We occasionally get a hotel when a club pays for it, kind of thing, but usually we don't. We usually stay with people.
Yeah. And
that's really nice. I tell you, if you spend enough time spending time with the average person in all these different countries, it really changes your perspective. You realize, you know what, we're okay. It's going to be all right.
There's good people everywhere.
You watch TV and you think everybody's a nut. And it's like, no, they're not actually. Those are the nuts that get on TV. How would a TV broadcast be? Today, a very nice person did a favor for a friend and then picked him up at the airport when he didn't need to. You know, it's like they wouldn't do that. It's not exciting.
Yes, it's not newsworthy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's been a really special part of the journey, getting to know people all around the world, staying with them, getting to know them, getting to know their kids. It's like we have families and friends all over the world. And that's been a joy.
Special.
Yeah. And then like every time, you know, we're booking another tour, whether it's a year or 2 years later, a lot of times we go stay with the same people. We're going to that town to play a cinema or music club in that town. So some of those people we've known for 30 years. And we've seen their kids grow up. And
I just want to give a caveat because it sounds really cool what we're talking about, but most people couldn't handle it because here's an example. Monday night, you're playing at the Fritz Philipp Auditorium in Eindhoven. So they put you up at the 5-star hotel, which is fantastic.
With a great breakfast buffet.
Yeah, terrific. And of course, you put extra fruit in your bag and everything. And unfortunately, this really happened. And unfortunately, when I'm checking out, the bag fell and opened up and all of the stuff rolls out. But anyway, that's Monday. Tuesday night, you're playing at a student venue for students. And they're putting you in with Franz, who has not done his laundry in 6 months, and it's piled up in the room where you're staying. I'm serious. And and then Wednesday, it's somewhere in between. So it's really like this. Now, Robyn and I, we practice yoga meditation, and that's a big part of the whole thing, how we've survived this. Yeah. And there's a whole concept of even-mindedness in yoga meditation. I'm not talking about the pretzel yoga where you pretzel yourself up.
Meditation, really.
I'm talking about the meditative Raja yoga. And then the really even-mindedness is very important because then you really enjoy something and then something's really bad. And either one is kind of like, you're not going like this. You're kind of like, hey, cool, that's fine. That's kind of how we've dealt with it.
Well, I think that you have to be like that because, you know, lots of people are in the mode of like, I get up, you know, I brush my teeth, here's my cup, you know, here's the pan I use every day. So going from that could make a lot of people feel off kilter. So you guys really are doing something special by adopting that lifestyle.
Yeah, it's been great training. And, you know, we found that over all those years, whenever we sat down to meditate, we felt at home.
Yeah.
That was our anchor. So it was the anchor inside us. And even sometimes you get really busy, you know, you do a show, you get home late at night, you got to get up early, catch the train, get to the next venue. So sometimes we'd be meditating on the train. Sometimes you're backstage, you know, doing your energy exercises, getting grounded to go on stage and catching a meditation when you can. But that's really been our thread the whole time. And it's really kept us anchored, you know, and enjoying the experiences as they come. And it's, you know, full of mystery and surprises, which has been really exciting and fun, and a lot of new input and stimuli and new people.
It's a very different perspective if you have the consciousness that you are not the body, you're in the body, like you're in a car. Yeah. You know, and at some point you're going to get out of the car and go somewhere else, and then probably, unless you're really advanced, get into another body and learn some more stuff. It's a very different experience if you recognize you're an eternal being, not the body. You're this thing inside, and that all the stuff you're getting is just experiences to learn from. That's really the essence of yoga meditation and the philosophy behind it. And if you take it that way, also knowing about karma, you know, what you give out comes back. So knowing those things, you're more careful about how you behave. And then you're also appreciating the great stuff, and you're realizing the bad stuff. What is this for me? Why is this?
What's my lesson?
What is the lesson here? Why did I attract myself to this? That kind of thing. And that's without that, I really don't think we would have lasted more than a year or two. You know, I think it would have been too much. But it's actually really pretty neat. We were talking to a great yogi that we know in India, and Brother Vishwananda.
Oh yeah.
And we were talking about the touring life, and he said it's perfect for the yoga path you're on, because there's a thing, the sadhus, wandering sadhus. It's an ancient tradition where they were not allowed to stay in one place more than 3 days, because so that you don't form too many attachments. That was their particular way that they walk the path. And it's kind of similar. It's in a way, it's weird because we don't have very much, only what we can carry. And we go from place to place to place to place. Usually we're staying a couple of days. And sometimes we're, like right now, we're homesteading with Robyn's parents. You know, so this is an unusual period for us. We've been here for almost a year with the COVID thing.
Right.
Taking care of Robyn, helping Robyn's parents.
Yeah. Plus we're not touring right now. So,
but it's great too, because now we're learning it in a different way. This whole different kind of life.
Yeah.
So I'm amazed. So you've been doing this since 1990. You've been living this lifestyle. It isn't something that you just did and then things sort of changed. This is the lifestyle that you have.
Yeah. For 30 years, we just celebrated our 30th year as Bright Blue Gorilla on the road.
And we want to, we're talking, you know, because Robyn's dad is 91, Robyn's mother's 87. And so we're, you know, helping them out around the house and stuff just to make things easier for them while we're here. Yeah. We always enjoyed living with them. Whenever we're not on tour, we come home and we stay here for usually just 6 weeks or 2 months, and then we go back on the road. But now this has been a longer period. But whenever they go to the great beyond, whenever that is, we're going to get back on the road, we think, or we might do what is called the fourth ashrama in yoga philosophy, which means it's basically retirement, but it's not retirement like, hey, I'm going to go bowling and fishing. It's like you pull back from the world and you focus completely, entirely on your practice.
On your spiritual
to really
life.
Get ready for to get rid of all the rest of the stuff you're carrying, and to move so that you move on cleanly. That's called the fourth ashrama. It's a neat concept.
So we're even thinking about maybe we'll go live in India for a while and, you know, serve there.
We're not sure when we'll do that, but maybe it's coming up. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, we'll always be artists and we love creating art, but we're not, you know, doing it because we want to be famous or make a lot of money.
That's
or,
nothing but trouble.
You know, we're driven. We have to, you know, but we enjoy it. It's been an amazing journey. We like to create uplifting music and movies, hoping to uplift people around the world. That's always been our goal. But, you know, we don't have this drive like we've got to make it. We've got to break through. And it's like a rat wheel.
When we met, we were more like that.
When we first met, for sure, we were like really driven and,
to be a rock star.
Yeah, I wanted to be a rock star. I wrote that in my 12-year-old autobiography in school. I want to be a rock star. I actually probably have it in my mom and dad's attic.
I knew it when I saw I'm dating myself. When I saw the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show, I was with my brother and sisters, And I was really super young, but I was old enough to, talk and understand things. And I was like, what are those girls? Because they had like long hair, which is like this, they're like doing, and they were like, no, they're guys, they're a band. And I said, that's their job? Because like you can do that. That's an option. I don't know if something really rang a bell on that one, and that was for sure. I knew exactly what I'm going to be on stage singing and shaking my head. Woo! I knew I was going to be doing it. That was
so.
Right.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
Well, I just have so many questions, like as I'm listening to you talk. So one thing that comes to mind is like, what countries have you not been to, or what countries have you been traveling all over the world?
We've not been to Africa yet.
We haven't been to Africa.
I think we've been invited there a couple of times, so we may go.
We haven't been to Japan.
Our records have been out there, and our movies are released.
Yeah, we have Japanese subtitles.
Amazing.
But and we've
been to China.
Yeah, we went to a film festival in China, which was really interesting. The thing is, because it's mostly been the two of us, like running the whole company, that
Can you call it a company?
I know. But it's
call it a company on our tax return, but that's about as company as it gets.
Yeah, that's true. But we haven't, maybe gotten to as many countries as we wanted to, because I was like busy booking the tour in some of the countries that we've been to before, because I knew I could get gigs, because you got to pay your way somehow, right? But it would have been nice to, get to more places, though. So many places we went to were really interesting. And been around Europe a lot, like Denmark and Sweden, and
a little bit of Eastern Europe, but not too much.
Yeah,
mostly Western Europe.
Yeah.
So is there a place that's your favorite?
Gosh, I don't know. My favorite place is kind of where I am, as long as it's not freezing cold.
Yeah, we like to be warm.
Well, don't come to Canada in December.
Right? No.
I'll bring a coat if we can.
But every place is really special. I think, again, being yogis, the tradition is really living in the moment, being in the moment, enjoying where you are, not thinking about where you're not.
Oh.
So I think that's the way we've lived. We've had to live that way too, because we had to really take care of today. What are we doing today?
And you make plans, of course. You have to be practical.
Yeah.
You make some plans, some medium term, longer term plans. But then there's a lot of like letting it flow, and a lot of improvisational behavior that needs to come especially when you're living a lifestyle like this, because we're not buying our way through. We're not like, hey, I want to rent this place. Here's, what? You need $1,000? Here you go. Boom. No problem. We were like, we just did a show, and so we got a couple $100 in our pocket kind of thing. And like, we've got to get through the next month. So, so we're, you want to stay with me? Sure. But then 99% of the time, that's always been fine. There's been only a couple times you can literally count on one hand in 30 years when it wasn't a great situation to stay. We had to like say, thanks a lot, we're going to split.
Yeah.
But literally less than one hand's worth of bad experiences, I would say, in 30 years. The rest of it has just been one remarkable thing after another. Another interesting thing about being the traveling person that's not from there, that's approachable, friendly, and traveling, people tell you all kinds of stuff that they never tell anybody because they're afraid to tell, and we always, I never told anybody. I always wanted to be a poet or something. We get this from like a guy that works at the bank, and he's like, yeah, we're staying at his house. Yes, well, let me show you my stamp collection a little bit later. And it's, I've got some very interesting new ones from South Africa with a broken postmark on there. Now look at this one. It's interesting. You can see with look at the magnifying glass too. See the nose? Now see it curves to the left.
Your improv training's kicking in, honey.
So that kind of guy. And then when his wife leaves him, he goes, I always wanted to be a tango dancer, but I never told him. It's like, well, you should do that. Why don't you do that, Bob? Come on.
No, but
what's stopping you? And then the nice thing is, a lot of times we hear that they ended up learning tango and stuff. All they need sometimes is somebody just to say, that's not a dumb idea.
Somebody to encourage.
It's a great idea.
And somebody to listen. I mean, that's really been one of the most beautiful parts of the lifestyle, is the time to like hang out with people. We're all so busy, especially in the Western world, right? So staying with somebody, we found, is the best way to get to know them.
Yes,
how often do you
absolutely.
stay at your friends' homes, right? You meet for dinner for 2 hours or something, but living with somebody, whether it's for a night or 2 or 3 or a week, and that's been just so special, getting to hang out and talk and share and be a part of somebody's life, and listen. And
It's almost like being on a new date every couple days.
Yeah, but without the
Everyone's on their
problems of
best
that.
behavior.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's like a play date. It's because you're not dating, so it's real innocent. So like you're friends, So
Yeah.
it's like, but it is the nice excitement of that without all this weird attachment of the
Yes.
dating thing.
Yeah.
If it was just a friendly get together, that's usually more fun because you don't have any strings attached. It's like, hey, that was great, guys. See you later.
right. That's been, but I think, so asking what are some of our favorite places, I think
Italy we like.
Well, Italy, but I was gonna say one thing I really
Eating,
enjoy
if you want to eat, go to
eating in Italy. Oh, sounds good.
That's
But one thing I've really enjoyed is we've been to India 6 times.
That's
And
good for eating too.
Except
it has a little side effect of eating. Would you go, oh my God, what happened? What did I eat?
Different bacteria.
It's just a whole
sometimes.
new ballgame.
That part's not fun. But our goal in India was, especially like the first time we went, we said, you know what, we're going to unplug for 6 months.
In India, you're saying?
We're going that far.
Wow.
And even though we love our career, we love making music and movies, what would happen if we just unplugged and just traveled and just to be and take time to write and read and, not do a career? Who are you when you're not doing your career? Even though we're artists and we love what we do. So that was just an incredible experience. We went for 6 months.
We've been 6 times doing that for like 5 or 6 months at a time usually. But the first time was weird because I've been working since I was 11, seriously, earning money, because my mom was a single mom. She was trying to sell life insurance, the poor thing, trying to support me and my brother, and barely make our electricity was turned off so many times I can't tell you. Our phone turned off and stuff when I was a kid. So if I needed something like like a baseball glove or something, I had to get the money. And so my friend next door they were Republicans that lived next door, very good with money, and all their kids worked. And so I became friends with the kid, and we were like, I mowed lawns and stuff. I was 11, mowed lawns, did this, did that. So I pretty much never stopped working until India was the first time that I wasn't working. And it was weird. Like, well, if I'm not, what am I doing? If I'm not a musician, I'm not performing,
who am I?
It was really great.
Right?
I mean, even though we were already
what was the answer? Like, I'm really curious. So
I'm no one. That's the answer. I'm nothing. I'm no one.
Unless I'm working.
No, the answer was that's all just busy, busy, busy stuff. That's the thing. We get so identified with what we're doing. And that's part of the lessons of the COVID lockdown for a lot of people is they've taken away a lot of the distractions, even if it's work, and you're earning money. It's still, it's putting your attention on something other than yourself and your own inner issues. You're dealing with something else. And when you neglect the inner life, the real you for too long, which is most of us, right? When you first look inside, you go, oh my God, I'm a mess. At first you are, but then take it easy. It's all right. You're going to work it out. And then, after a while of working on the interior life, it sort of smooths out, like cleaning a room. If you never cleaned your house for like 35 years and you're 35 years old and you turned around and looked at the mess, oh my God.
Where do I start?
Right. But then let's start here, move this, move that, move this. And slowly it gets to be more pleasant. And then you can be with yourself without being distracted so much. And it's actually, because listen, just back to yoga, the self with a capital S is God. That's what they call God, the self. They call the little self with a small s. So the self goes within and connects with the self. That's what they call it, because it's the self of everything. That's the yoga philosophy. And so when you're clearing house enough, and if you're actually able to go into that door and get into communion with the great spirit that animates everything, that's pretty interesting.
You get into soul consciousness, right? Where the real joy is. And your intuition awakens, and then you can draw things to you that you need in your life at
You didn't know
time.
this was going to be a revival meeting, did you?
No, but I identify so well because I don't know if you've ever heard of the book, The Power of Now.
Yes, I have. I've not read it, but I've heard the title.
Oh,
I've heard people.
amazing book, and on that theme. And it actually changed my life because I think I was a typical person who busy mom, a career, a wife. Since I'd been young, taught, to do things for other people. And then all of a sudden, one day, it was like, I had no idea who I was. No idea, right?
Wow.
And that book sort of speaks to that. And it did change my life. It put me on a whole different journey. So
that's wonderful. Wonderful.
Going for 6 months in India sounds just so nice.
It is, but again, it's India. It's the noisiest, most polluted, horriblest place in the world, and the most beautiful, friendly, kindest place in the world. It's both on the same day,
right?
in the same hour.
Well, in my mind, I'm thinking Eat, Pray, Love. You know, that ashram that she went
Roberts,
to.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking India is like, but I'm sure it's much wilder.
It's all of the above.
If you're Julia Roberts, it is like that. But if you're going with a normal budget, then it's not like that. You're like, I remember we're taking the second class trains around India, and you can travel across the length of the Canada for like $1.50.
Wow.
It's like, and so, but you're sitting there in the second class car with like, women are coming in with these packages of like dried sardines in a burlap sack on their head, and you'll be sitting there reading, and suddenly you'll smell sardines. What? You'll turn around, there's like 6 women walking with the sardines, and they lay them down. The sardine dust goes all over the place, and
then you're smelling incense, beautiful incense.
But the interesting thing is, because of that, the average person there, at least the middle class, lower class people, are really tolerant. They're so used to noise. They're so used to
crowds, being next to
things,
people.
And the upper class is a whole different animal. And I have some issues with some of their behaviors of the upper class, but that's just my comrade stuff coming out.
but people with so little want to share what they have with you.
Right.
So we'd be on a seat on the train where maybe 3 people are supposed to sit there, 4 people, and there's 7 people.
Yeah.
Everybody's like crammed
and if somebody
next
else
to each other.
comes, they just scoot over, make more. So they're
right
now.
But they want to like put like their baby on your lap.
Hold the baby. To do something. You're like,
okay.
Well,
they want to share their dinner with you, and just a lot of sweetness there. A lot of sweetness there. Yeah.
Well,
people wanting to talk to you and help you, and if you're asking for directions, they'll walk you to where you're trying to go and go out of their way to help you.
Well,
you can get into trouble there.
Fortunate.
Yeah, but it was just it's nice to like slow down, especially in the Western world. We move so fast, and that's why the whole lockdown, stay at home thing, it's not that hard for us. I mean, our lives are usually so exciting. We're on the go. We have all this input. And now we're just being more still, more quiet. And we're getting to meditate a lot more and read our spiritual lessons and, just fill up the tank and get more fuel and feel more anchored.
And
serve my parents.
And that's really nice.
And it just, it feels really good right now just to be simple and still. And
Joe Biden says by Christmas we may be somewhat back to normal. I don't know. He doesn't say for sure, but so enjoy this while you can. The quiet.
Yes.
It's nice in LA. There was no traffic. That was
great.
What usually took 3 hours took 45 minutes or something to get there. There's some nice things, and you probably read those nice stories about the canals of Venice months ago.
Yes.
That the dolphins came back and the people were like, oh, the water's blue. I didn't know.
That was amazing.
There are many good things that have come to us through COVID, and sad to say, but there's a lot of challenges, but so many good things too. So because your lifestyle is definitely not built on the financial aspects or money hungry kind of approach, you're making movies, which is, I think, typically a very expensive proposition. So how do these movies get funded?
That's a good question. Like, how do we make 7 films, right?
Really?
Well, yeah. And well, the thing is, first of all, a lot of people spend a lot of money to go to film school to learn how to make films. But again, our approach was do it yourself, learn by doing. We're going to make a lot of mistakes along the way. Each movie is going to get better. So we just bought a camera, and we said, Michael's a writer. A lot of our friends are actors. Let's just make a movie. Let's just do it, and we'll have to learn how to produce and cast and cater.
I was an editor already. I used to work for the TV show The Osbournes. I was one of the editors. I was the dailies
MTV,
editor for MTV Osbournes, and it's the lowest editor on the totem pole. But it was still, I was there, and I met a lot of great editors and learned a lot from them. So I was able to edit our work as well. So that saves. Basically, how do we do it? It's like you either in the way that the world seems to work, you either have money or you have agreement. Right? If I ask you, can you take me to the airport? And you say, yeah, okay, that's an agreement. And then I don't need to get a taxi and spend $100. And then I say, thanks so much. And you say, you're welcome. And then if you need a ride, I would give you a ride. So it's like, but it's not a tit for tat. It's just like you do stuff and you ask. And if somebody can't, so we say to someone who owns, like, let's say a warehouse or something, we say, can we shoot a couple of scenes in here? Because it looks really great. And they say, well, when? And I say, well, when is convenient? And they say, well, we're not open on Sunday. And I'd say, well, could we shoot on Sunday? And yeah, okay. Do and because they know how we work. Most people know that we're artists and we're not well financed in any stretch of the imagination. So what we end up spending most of the money on is food. Feeding the actors.
That's what costs a lot making a movie. But again,
that's our highest budget item.
Right. I've learned to cook along the way. And at one point, I actually, before we were on the road, I had a job doing catering in recording.
She almost killed the artist Thomas Dolby with cooking.
I made some
remember
vegetarian.
Thomas Dolby from the 80s?
Yeah. But
She blinded me with science. Do you remember that song? She blinded me with science. That's Thomas. Anyway, that was one of her catering jobs.
Yeah. In a recording studio, I made vegetarian chili and I put too many red hot peppers in it. You learn by doing. But, so on our film sets, food is really the most important thing to motivate people and show that you appreciate them. So it's always fresh food. I bake a lot of banana bread, a lot of, and it's usually, we're vegetarian, so vegetarian catering. Some people are trying it for the first time. They find that they really like it. High vibe food.
Also the people that we pick, we pick people that are nice people. And we know a lot of actors, a lot of talented people, and we avoid the ones that are trouble wherever possible. Occasionally we will cast an actor who's a little bit trouble personality wise because they're so good, but it's a rare thing because the vibe on set and the way that people interact is so important when you're doing a sort of a community based filming like we do. Now we have big crowds. We had, big group of people. We had 300 people taking part in 36 Husbands.
Wow.
iTunes, Amazon, and Google Play.
Right. But
300 people, that's a lot, so keep together a team of 300 for a couple of months. This is not an easy thing.
Yeah. So basically it's kind of like we've done some crowdfunding with our last 2 films where, you ask for donations online and you have certain perks. So we've been able to raise a little bit money that way,
but not enough.
It's never quite enough. that's the trick.
We kind of got into debt a little bit.
Yeah, we got into debt a little bit.
Not too bad.
It adds up, But mainly, I'd say we've met so many talented people all around the world with our travels. Every couple of years, we'll say, hey, we're going to make a movie. Do you want to be involved? Do you want to act in it? Do you want to help on set? I need help with catering. I need help finding locations. It's basically like a world community coming together to create something bigger than ourselves. Amazing. And they believe in the project. Yeah. And the neat thing is they're not there for the paycheck. Maybe down the line, if the movies make profit, we'll all share in it.
That's the theory.
We haven't quite gotten there yet. That's the artist collective part.
It is. We do form a collective. We do form an artist collective.
But people are there for the experience. They're there because they want to be. So it creates a certain vibe on set, and very, very inspiring vibe. And
what I was going to say,
and everybody learns a lot. We challenge people, like, on 36 Husbands, we said we're going to pick 4 main actors that will also be our crew. When they're not acting, they're going to help on lights. They're going to help with catering. They're going to help on sound. They're going to help build props. So we picked really special people to go around the world with us to make 36 Husbands.
People we knew we liked.
Yeah. And so that was really a neat way to do it.
And I was going to say that movie is around the world. There was Paris in there, Australia, Outback, like a lot of places.
That was part of the idea. And we thought, and we ended up on this movie, we spent most of the budget on, it was probably 50-50 on food and travel, because we did go to Australia. We went to Berlin, to Frankfurt, to Paris. We flew them over to LA. We stayed in LA. So that was a little, but still, it's not that much, because if you look at plane ticket prices, at least as they were 2 years ago, it wasn't that much. So mainly, the main thing is that you just have to get people that have some time and that want to do it. And if they're motivated to do it, then it can be a beautiful experience. The thing that we have, the good thing that we have that a lot of filmmakers don't, is we are a touring band. We're a touring act. So we tour all the time. So now we tour in cinemas, and we take and when we're in a music club, we make sure they have a projector so we can show the film. So we do a little set of music. We say hi, and we say, hey, we're going to do the new film now.
Oh, smart.
After, and then we show the film.
Q&A after.
So that's how we slowly, make enough money for the next picture, is by touring.
Yeah, we say, how much money do we have to work with? Let's figure it out. Do we need to raise some more? And I want to tell Sherry this experience about shooting in Australia, but just a little bit more on the touring aspect. One thing we also did, one of the greatest investments we ever made, was to buy a really high-end projector, $600 projector that fits in the backpack. So not only do we tour cinemas and music clubs and maybe a festival when we can go, but we go to people's living rooms or backyards, and we make a cinema.
Pop-up.
Yes.
A pop-up cinema. So we have the projector, we have speakers we travel with.
That's been great.
We play a set of music unplugged. We tell the people, borrow a screen or rent a screen, or we'll use your wall, or put a sheet up.
One time we
in Denmark, remember that sheet at the farmhouse?
Big farmhouse. These guys put a sheet up. We got there in the afternoon, fortunately. It was before the show. And they put the sheet up, but they forgot to iron it. So it was the most wrinkled screen I'd ever seen in my life. I said, do you have an iron anywhere? Can we iron it? So we're going like this on the screen with an iron. And then we smoothed it out.
See, it's improv. But then it's so special, these pop-up cinemas, because they invite all their friends and family over. Everybody gives a donation to the artist. Sometimes we do a potluck dinner, or there's just dessert and drinks. And it's really cozy and intimate. And we get to sit there with the audience.
Yeah.
One of the ways we've learned so much as filmmakers is to watch our movie hundreds of times with different audiences around the world.
We don't just leave.
A lot of filmmakers will just leave and come back in for the Q&A. But
I want to see what they're thinking.
We learn. We see what jokes are working. What are they laughing at? What's not working? It's such a great way to learn. And a lot of filmmakers, especially independent filmmakers, they only get to see it with an audience at a film festival once in a while.
Right.
But we take it on the road ourselves. So again, we learn by doing, and every movie has gotten better and better because you learn from your mistakes, right? But it's been a great process. And even though I've seen like the movies hundreds of times, it's really fresh with a new audience. It's almost new, and I find myself laughing when I hear them laughing, even though I know the jokes. It's been really special.
That is a very unique approach. I love it. If you guys are ever up in Canada, I want to do that. I think that sounds so
they'll
fun.
let us in.
We got a gig in Canada.
We'll have to see if they'll let us on the border.
Let's hope COVID gets to the wayside pretty fast, because I think everyone is sick of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read headlines today. Worldwide is going down finally, so that's good. And all the, India's had a pretty good time with it lately. They've said that they're really surprised that it's really gone down.
Exactly. I read that.
So good. I hope so. Let's we've talked to a lot of people that seem to know about how things work, and they're saying it's never going to get really totally back to the normal, the way it was, because things, for example, how many companies are going to keep bringing you into an expensive office building?
Exactly.
Why would they? They realize, you know what? We don't have to do that. We only need 20% of the people to be in the office.
Which maybe is good, so people can spend more time with their husband or wife or their family. And,
they don't have to drive for 3 hours a day to get to and
less
from
pollution.
Work. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good things.
So we'll see. It'll change things, but we'll all find out what that is.
Yeah, I mean, and it's moved everybody farther along into the technology. You go to the doctor online now. You you can do almost anything. Bingo, people having a social hour. It's just amazing how people have embraced technology. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Sherry, that gets me thinking of how we shot in Australia, because it really has to do with technology. What you're saying. So, we're so crazy. We said, well, we're going to tour Australia. We'd never been. And we're also going to shoot a movie there. We're going to shoot a movie. We don't know anybody there. It's a country we've never been to. But after our, 2-month tour in Australia, we'll bring the actors over from Europe and shoot a movie. Why not? We're going to be there. Somehow we're going to figure it out. So I was booking the tour, and a lot of the gigs I found I was on Facebook, I was on a House Concerts Australia group, all on my computer, meeting people. And so I met an American woman, Renee De Robertis, who lives in Australia. I met her, I think it was on Facebook or Facebook, yeah. And I said, hey, we're looking to do a house concert, pop-up screening. And she said, oh, my husband and I, we have a vineyard. We have a big property. And yeah, why don't you, come do a show with us? And then I also told her, well, I'm looking for locations to shoot our movie in Australia. Do you think you can help me find some locations? So she's like, you know what? Why don't you and your actors come stay at our vineyard for a couple weeks? We've got a beautiful spot. You can shoot a lot of scenes here. And in fact, we'll get the whole town involved. I know a local theater group. I know a director. They know a bunch of actors. So I'd never met this woman. And she just invited us in. And that was one of the main locations in Australia. And not only, was it just a great place to stay? They were so warm. She was a great cook. She was a gourmet cook. Yeah, they also had a bunch of stuff lying around their property that we built props with for the movie.
Wood and metal things.
I mean, everything
that I
we
could
needed.
Build props with. And we have a secret passage in our movie, and so I needed a big figure.
I've seen that, yes.
Remember that? So we built that. But then it's having faith and trust and having a vision and not being afraid to ask for help. You create the channels for the miracles to come, you plant the seeds, and they come. And it's not always like you expect, but you do the best with what you have right now. That's kind of how we live our lives, how we make our movies. So the neat thing about Michael being the writer, if let's say we can't find the location that he had in his mind, well, he can rewrite the scene.
Yes, we're changing the nuclear submarine scene to a donut shop.
There you go. But what also was amazing was, so Michael wrote a sheep station, which you saw in the movie in the 36 Husbands script. So at every show when we were doing our concert pop-up screening tour, at the end of every show, I'd say, does anybody know somebody that has a sheep station? Because we're going to shoot a movie in a couple months. And so we ended up staying with this couple in Western Australia, in Esperance, where they have those white sand beaches and the kangaroos on the beaches. And the guy said, oh, a friend of mine works at a sheep station. I'll hook you up.
Yeah, he's a shearer.
Yeah,
so he called, and it was really interesting because that was a whole different culture, and when we called the guys, like, hi, yeah, we're Robyn Michael, that is yeah. Oh yeah, we understand you're a sheep shearer. Yep. Well, your friend told us that could we come as when? Okay. So good. Okay.
We can shoot.
Yep.
And
okay, great. And then, and then we went and met, and then we went over to the guy that owned the place. He was just a shearer, right? He worked for the guy. So we went to see the guy's big farm, family farm, 150 years old. They've been in business, and or sheep rancher, whatever you call them, grazier. And we met the same thing. It was like they were all shearing, they were busy shearing. And then they would talk to us during the break. So they all stopped and they're all having a cup of tea, and it's the same kind of thing. It was like 5 words, said the whole time. They're sipping their tea and listening, and then they go, yeah. No, whatever. And it was like, okay, thanks. Like, yep.
Right. And as long as we can keep working while you're filming.
Yeah, no cut.
So we integrated that, as you saw, into the movie. It was great.
And then and then everything was worked out. It was like that. They said yes when they mean yes. They say no when they mean no.
Right. And we found everything we wanted. I mean, it was quite a miracle. Funny. And Michael wrote a snake into the movie. I'm like, how am I going to find a snake? And a
husband and wife team that are snake rescue.
They actually rescue snakes from people's homes, and so they have about 60 reptile pets at home.
They brought a bunch of different ones, and they were like, oh, well, Matilda has a kind of better personality, but she's a little aggressive. And Sam, we think Sam might be the most photogenic. And I said, which one will go the way that I want him to go? And he's like, none of them. You just have to see what they do.
See what you get with the snakes.
But we got it. We were very fortunate. You know what I'm talking about, the snake scene. And so they went exactly where it was supposed to go and didn't bite anybody like a good snake.
Right. But go ahead, Sherry.
I just can't believe it. I listen to you guys and I think I cannot believe it. There's some divine intervention happening here all the time.
Well, that's true.
Like you're not just manifesting, but it's even more than that.
Yeah, we're really blessed, and it's nice to share the story with you because it reminds me, like, how did we do that? How did that happen?
Whenever we look backwards at, like, how did we do that? When I look at one of the scenes we shot from years ago, that I like, oh yeah, I remember that. God, how do we're so fortunate,
Yeah, locations are really important, especially in independent films. A lot of people just shoot in one apartment, but it's what's amazing too is that you can edit a movie on a laptop, right? So Michael does it all on the laptop as we travel or as we're in one place. And, again, we can accomplish it because we wear a lot of the hats. You have to work hard. You have to be willing to learn how to cater and produce and location scout and, cast your actors and, clean the floor and decorate the set. But that's what makes it fun, that you challenge yourself and you learn new skills. And that's been one of the neat things about the lifestyle, I think, is, what do you have to show for it? Well, it's not like we have all these material possessions or we have this and this and this, but we have things we can take with us. We've learned skills, we've learned lessons. And that's what it's all about, I think. Are you enjoying your journey? That makes a successful life. That makes me feel rich.
Absolutely.
Do you love the journey? So that's it's been interesting.
Well, I'm so impressed. So I just want to ask one last question. What is one piece of learning that stood the test of time for both of you that sort of provides the support for you to live this lifestyle and accomplish what you do? It's just amazing.
Never sell your stuff and go on tour for 30 years. That's what I learned. No, I'm kidding. Totally kidding.
Comedy gets you through it. That's
I just, figure out what you really want to do. Try to be honest with yourself and figure out what would you really like to do? Not like, can you do? What is possible for you to do? But it's like, if you could just push a magic button and your life would be a certain way, what is that? First, try to ask that question to yourself and figure out what that is. And then analyze it, because it may be a symbolism. It may be symbolic of something. It's not, for example, if you say, well, I want to be a billionaire living on the Amalfi Coast in a giant $10 billion mansion with everybody loving me. It's like, okay, that's a little hard to do if you're wash cars for a living. But what does it represent? Well, it represents independence. It represents freedom. It represents maybe being warmer. I don't know. Ask yourself, what is the inner, that you're going to get the initial vision of it, but what does that mean? What is inside that vision? What is the essence of it? And that's, you can certainly manifest something like that. And you'll see as you take little steps toward it, oh, that feels pretty good. That feels right. Oh, I see. That's what I would say. That's the hardest thing in life, is figuring out what am I doing now in this life? What is the point here?
Yeah.
People get too busy too fast. They sign up. The parents sign them up, and the society signs them up for this whole list of things. House, job, car, house, spouse, kids, all that, right? And that can be the best thing in the world. I'm not saying that's bad, but that's kind of the routine thing, that one size fits all, boom. And then a lot of times people could make themselves do it, and there's some joys there, but then they get to be midlife and they go, whoa, what is going on? How did I get here? And who is this? You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you mean. Right? And how about you, Robyn?
Yeah, I was saying in our society, it's like, well, when you retire, you can do what you really want. It's like, whose life is it anyway? What, I don't like the one size fits all thing, because it's just not true. But I think for me, I mean, there's so many things, but if I had to really boil it down, live your life with faith and trust, develop a relationship with the divine friend that animates us all. And then you can actually have a beautiful journey, and ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I think, without the help of so many loving people around the world, we couldn't have had this incredible journey, this beautiful adventure. And most people are afraid to ask for help, or they don't think they're worthy of it, or I don't know. It's like, I've got to do it myself. I'm just amazed at how many people that I still come across that, oh, they're an acquaintance, or I don't really know them, or I couldn't ask them for that. It's like, people can say no.
Yeah.
As long as you're not too pushy.
Depends on what you're asking. Don't ever ask anything that's harmful to someone,
harmful. But, sure, you got to have good intentions.
But if it's like, can you give me a ride to the airport? That's not going to kill anybody.
But that's the
unless
thing.
The person can't drive.
Right? Yeah. I mean, it's like we all love to help people. It makes us feel good. So you're actually giving somebody a gift too sometimes. It's really a mutual, beautiful thing. So I think just being helpful and supportive to each other, and nurturing yourself, and again, just having that faith and trust to keep going. Don't give up. And even if you feel the fear, okay, don't let it stop you. So everything's sharing. Possible. If you dream it, I'm not making this one up. It's a cliche. You've heard it, but if you dream it, you can do it. That's what I feel, or some version of it.
I thought I made that up.
So tell me, and tell the listeners, your company name is
Bright Blue Gorilla.
The new movie is
36 Husbands.
Available on iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, Vudu,
all kinds of things.
Something.
But if people, we'd love to hear from people. If you go to our website, brightbluegorilla.com, you can find all our music, all our movies, and you can email us. We'd love to, hear from you. We love to have exchanges with people. And recently I got a message from somebody from Canada, actually, that saw one of our movies, Go With Le Flow. And it was so neat. I didn't know the guy. And he said, I was on Netflix and I was searching for something that would be uplifting. All the movies out there are so dark and edgy. And my wife and I came across Go With Le Flow, and it just made us smile and laugh. This was early in the COVID days. And it was so great hearing from this guy.
When did he see it? Because we were on Netflix only for a while.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? It wasn't Netflix. It must have been iTunes. iTunes or Amazon.
iTunes.
You're right.
I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, you're
right. Because we were on Amazon. One of our movies made it to Amazon.
You mean we were on Netflix.
No, I'm sorry. Our movies was on Netflix. Go With Le Flow for like 18 months, I think. It was a short-term run, but then they didn't pick it up again, unfortunately. No, and they switched to their own stuff now. They don't really bring on independent stuff anymore. So that's how Netflix.
It's a little bit tricky, but under the Milky Way, this great distributor has distributed 3 of our films now.
I think one of the main guys is French Canadian.
Oh yeah, Pierre lives in Canada actually. But so we've gotten some help to get our movies on iTunes and Amazon, all that. But you can also rent it on our own website, which is really neat because then most of the money goes to the artist, to us.
Well, that's an important thing. So everybody
Right?
pay attention to that.
Yeah.
Well,
It's been so fun talking with you, Sherry.
Such fun. I just really enjoyed it. And thank you so much for coming in. And we'll be sharing your information in the magazine so people can always find that. But best thing is to go to brightbluegorilla.com.
Yes.
So thanks again so much for joining me today and sharing all your wisdom, and what a marvelous story.
Thanks, Sherry.
Thank you.